Hey, what's up all you Valley Maniacs? I am back, Valley Flying here. Welcome to my next video. Welcome to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in this video, talking about Marvel Strike Force, one of the more popular modes to talk about, and that is Blitz right here. So, set myself up pretty good. Still have a few more battles to do, but almost at 1 million right now in this Blitz. And that means we have another Blitz coming up in a few hours. Hoping that character is not too good because I used it all on cable right now. So I'm kind of screwed if it is a good character like Black Widow or someone. I'm not sure if I have the resources to really compete. But anyway, let's take a look at my roster because there's a few characters that I don't really use too much. These are my main guys. Some of the guys that I don't use that are okay. Shield Medic I don't use in Blitz just because I have 4 extra. And I don't use her. I don't use Hand Assassin. I don't use Iron Fist. And I don't use Ravager Stitcher, so I probably would use them if I unlock one more character. So Kree Cyborg, probably the next guy that I'm gonna be unlocking, unless I get unlucky and get a big pull for Scientist Supreme. But anyway, I'm pretty much using the rest of my roster, and I got 12 teams right now, which means that I could get to right about that tier 3, tier 4 range if I don't lose any without using any refreshes or anything. So let's go take a look at my team. Some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. And is this the best team combinations you could possibly make? Probably not. It's really going to depend on your roster, what you have. But this is what I use, and it works pretty well for me. And hopefully it can help you in constructing your teams. And based on what you have on your roster, kind of get some insight of what's going through my mind as I'm constructing my team. So, first team right now is this one, my AIM team. Now, this is not a very good team, but they are good enough to win on tier 1 in that Blitz when they're facing a way underpowered team. So they are winning by overpowering pretty much because their skills and stuff don't really compensate, and they don't let them beat anybody higher than them. Obviously I haven't leveled them, but yeah, as far as what I've experienced, they're not a very good team. This is probably how I would place them if I was really thinking about it, but normally I just place them randomly and they're good enough to win. Usually you can just auto as well, but that's it. Not too much to say about AIM. They're good enough to win. Same thing with Shield. They're good enough to win on that second battle, but I don't really concern myself with the placement too much. I probably would place Shield Security right here, and then Shield, this is Trooper, I think. Yeah, because this is Assault, so this is Shield Trooper. He has that counters on one of his moves, so that will stop any chains. And then we got a healer here, and she could also dispel, so it's an okay team. They might be able to win a little higher if I had them leveled up, but as of right now, I use them on my second battle and don't come back to them ever in Blitz. My third battle is this Hydra team. Again, not too much thought placed into this team or their placement. I put the Armored Guard right here, and I put Blade Master here just because I already have my hand team filled up with Nobu and Elektra already. So there's no spot for 2 of the hands. One of them that misses out is Blade Master, but I still like him, so I put him in this Hydra team because I can't really complete the Hydra team because Grenadier, I'm using him for another spot because he has that Dispel. There's no Dispel on this team, but they do manage to win that third battle, and then I don't really come back to them. I don't really have this team built up, and they're not really capable, at least on my roster, on doing too much else. So let's move on to my next team. Now this team, I actually like, even though it still has Ronin. Ronin's one of the worst characters in the game, but I think with the rest of the Kree, it makes up for it, and he's still a bad character, don't get me wrong, but he's not as bad when you put him in a full Kree team because his heal actually can help the rest of the team. So Royal Guard right here, Noble right here, Reaper right here, and I'm not sure about these middle 3. Actually, I'm not sure about the rest of the 4, but I do want Kree Royal Guard on the end. Reaper, big damage, also has a lot of armor, which is why I think she's best in this spot, but you could switch that. I'm not sure, but I think this is the order that I would use them in if I was paying attention. But again, normally I just place them in and they're good enough to win on that next battle. So let's move on. My 5th team is this mercenary team. This is when the team starts getting pretty good. Well, I got Karath and Bullseye in here, so it's all mercenaries, so you're getting some synergy. I don't think their skills really do too much for that, but I'm putting Karath right here. I don't really have a solid spot for second, but I do want Sniper on this side right here because he is the squishiest character. And then the rest of these three in the middle don't really matter as far as the order, but yeah, this team is lacking a good Dispel. We have the Taunt here, and that's about it. They're an okay team. At this point, I'm getting into Tier 2, but it is the first battle of Tier 2, and after I use them for this, I'm not really coming back to them. I would like to build up Karath a little bit more, because he is a good character. Again, it just comes down to resource management, what your priorities are, and right now it's not a huge priority for me to build Karath, but he does do pretty well on this team right here. Moving on, this is my 6th team. Now, this is kind of a mishmash of characters. We got Ravager Bruiser here, and I built him up in the beginning because he was my one of my main tanks at the beginning of the game. He's one of the first characters that you get. Nebula, I put her here because she has counter on one of her moves, and Daredevil's the big damage dealer on this team, although he's not dealing too much damage because, again, I haven't built him too much. Vision has kind of a Dispel. I mean, I wouldn't call it a true Dispel because it's a 50% chance. And then Punisher just kind of rounds out the team. I was building him up for that Blaster Challenge, and don't really find too much use for him. I don't come back to this team as well. They're not capable of beating a team that's at their level or lower, at least the way I have them right now. So this team has pretty much what you need. You got a Taunter, and you got a kind of a Dispeller, and then you got some damage dealers here, and then Punisher just kind of rounds out that last spot there. Alright, so this is where the teams start getting pretty good. Alright, Luke Cage and Mercenary Lieutenant. I love that combo. I've talked about it before. I've talked about it in my Blitz videos, but I know they're long, and I know not everybody has watched those, but this is a really solid combo right here. Another solid combo with Deadpool and Cable. I would like to level them up a little bit more and see how they do in a team with Wolverine, just because Cable's passive also affects mutants. And then Hydra Grenadier is mainly here for his Dispel, because you got to be able to get around tanks. It's not a strong team right now, but it is good enough. I think if you leveled them up enough and put maybe a different Dispeller here, this team would be very, very good, very competitive at least. But this is where I'm using them. This is my Team 7. If I don't see any good matchups, I'll come back to them and see if they have a good matchup. But usually by that time, the tiers are so high that I really can't win with this team, at least the way that I have them leveled. Deadpool, Cable, solid characters, but just in my roster, I haven't spent the resources to really build them. So they're not that strong yet. But Mercenary Lieutenant and the defense up, the team-wide defense up from Luke Cage, and then the buffs from Mercenary Lieutenant, really strong combo. I like how they work together. All right, so let's move on. Team number 8, and this is kind of a mishmash team as well. I got my main tank right here in Hulk. We got the Dispel and kind of a heal. I mean, I don't really use his heal too much in Doctor Strange. Kingpin gives everybody offense and defense up, so that's huge. Unfortunately, he's a little slow, so that's not coming until everybody else had their turn. Spider-Man, he's an okay character. He's not one of my favorite characters in the game. He's one of my more... I like him in the Marvel Universe and in the movies and stuff. Just, I don't think he's as strong in this game. At least mine isn't, because I haven't built him enough. I just, he's not one of my priority characters to spend the resources on. Black Panther, another good character, but right now not super strong because I haven't really put too much work on him. I mean, all of these guys, Kingpin, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther, most people that do tier lists either have them on the top tier or the next top tier. These are good characters, but just, I've spent my resources other places, so I don't really have them leveled. So next, move on. This is my hand team. This is where I can start winning against some of these stronger teams. I use this team even when I'm at tier 8, and they still win a lot if I pick the right matchup. A lot of times it's really about picking the good matchups that you can win. I like to pick teams that have very low threats And when they don't have a lot of threats or a lot of taunters, or I think their big weakness is AoE. So I'm really looking for a team without a big AoE attack. If I see Crossbones on the team, I want to make sure I can take him out before I get a big AoE attack. That's what really could hurt these guys because they go into stealth. So ideally, it's usually Hand Sentry that's getting hit a lot, and then these guys aren't taking damage. Plus, I got Hand Sorcerers here to really help them, upping their evades and then healing them, obviously. All right, next team. I like this team. This is my C team right here, and I've talked about them in one of my previous videos. I still use them, and they still do good. Not as much when I get to tier 8, but they're pretty good. So Jessica Jones giving energy to people. Crossbones with his big turn. I would like to see his turn on his detonate on turn 2, but if it's there on turn 1, I always use that because I don't want that extra energy going to waste. Winter Soldier does some big damage on turn 1. After that, not as much. Wolverine has his ultimate, and usually by the time that kills up, it's the instant kill because the other guys have been whittled down, and Thanos is just a good tank. Not one of the best tanks, but he's a good tank. And then he has a big AoE attack as well. I like this team. I think this team does have some good synergy. Once I get some of the other characters leveled up, I would like to switch them around. Like, I think Crossbones and Winter Soldier pair very well with Kingpin, and I think I'd like to pair Wolverine with Cable and Deadpool once I get them leveled up. So this team is probably going to be changing in a while once I build some other characters up. This is my B team. Again, I could win with these guys on tier 8 in the right matchup. Real weakness here is Yondu is the only Dispeller, so very, very important to the team. I used to have him in slot 2, but I moved him up to slot 3 because if I lose Night Nurse, not that big of a deal. If I lose Yondu, it's going to be very, very tough just because he's the only way I could get around to Dispel. Rocket, very, very squishy. Gamora, squishy, but they both do some good damage. He has a big, huge AoE attack, and then he's got some good single target attacks. Gamora, just one of the best single target attackers in the game. Drax, he's a good tank. I don't have him built up to make him into a god tier tank, but he is a very good tank, one of the best tanks in the game. And that's pretty much all I have to say about these guys. And then this is my A team. Now, the weak point on this team is Thor. The good thing is that he's with Black Widow, so he's getting a little more speed, and he's with Captain America, so he possibly could get energy, and that's the main weakness with him, is that he's so slow. But with this team, I use them and they work pretty well. This is my main team that I use to go after the tier 8 teams. Usually, the way I have them right now is usually scoring about 28,000 points or so. Yeah, pretty good because I do have them leveled. Captain America is about 24,000 in power, and the rest of these guys are very similar. I think the weakest guy is Thor, though. If this team back here, my B team, had a Dispeller, Yondu would be on my A. But if I put Thor on this team, it's just so weak without a Dispeller that it's just very limited what they could do. And I think having Yondu on that B team really helps it. So Quake, one of the best characters in the game. Black Widow, one of the best characters in the game. Again, I'm always flip-flopping on which I think is the best character, but when you got these two combined with Captain America, these spots can be a little weaker. Hawkeye is another strong character, though. He's got that blind, AoE blind. He's got that Dispel. And, yeah, just a very, very good solid character. Plus, his passive can attack someone in stealth. So, solid. And then, Thor. Not much else to say. I mean, his hammer throw sometimes chains, sometimes it doesn't. I think it chains more often than not. It's supposed to go up to 9 targets. I haven't seen it do 9 targets, but his AoE, not a huge damage dealer, but it does have the potential to stun the whole team, so solid. And then Captain America, in my opinion, best tank in the game. He's probably number 3 or 4. Definitely in the top 5 of all the characters in the game. So that is the team that I'm running right now. So here's a few other tips. So if I'm with my A team and I'm going in and I don't like those 3 battles that they have, I'm going to go try to do a battle with my B team. If I don't like those, then I'm going to go in my C team. If I don't like any of those, I'm going in with my hand team, which is my 4th team. And usually within one of those, I could find a battle that I could win. Blitz really comes down to choosing the right teams. You don't want to put yourself in position that you could lose. The teams that I avoid are teams that have a lot of threats. And when I mean threats, they're damage dealers. Either a big AoE or if they have a couple AoEs and tanks or something that I can't get around, I try to avoid those teams. Kingpin teams I really try to avoid because of that offense up, especially if it's a Kingpin and Crossbones combo. Really, really tough to get around when you got Crossbones with that detonate with that big offense up. What else do I try to avoid? Black Widow teams, Black Widow and Captain America, usually they're built pretty well, and I try to avoid those teams. What do I look for? I look for teams with Ronin or Iron Fist. Usually those are a team built by the AI, and then any team that says Commander on it. So if I see Ronin, I'm going to seriously look at that team. If I see Iron Fist, I'm going to seriously look at that team. And if it says Commander, I seriously look at that team as well, see if I could beat it. Not always. There are some Ronin teams that have 4 other strong characters that are pretty tough. But usually at tier 8, I start seeing those AI teams, and some of them are very easy to beat. That's why in some cases, I think once you're at tier 8, it's a little easier because then you'll start to face some of these AI teams. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you're doing for your Blitz, how many teams you have, what are your favorite teams that you use. Maybe I don't have mine in the ideal position. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I will see you guys next time. Hopefully this helps for this upcoming Blitz. Hopefully it's I'm kind of on the fence. I hope it's a good character, but then I've spent all my energy for this Cable Blitz, and I'm kind of hoping that I don't miss out on a good character. But anyway, we'll see what happens, and hopefully it's a good Blitz. Hope it's a fun Blitz, and I will see you guys next time. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do it already, and click on the notification buttons. Valley Flying, out!